Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Day 35 of 60 of Wisdom Through the Ages by Wayne Dyer. If you've missed the previous episodes, you can catch them on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe Legacy LLC. Let's get into day number 35 Regrets. From Maud Mueller. Alas for maiden, alas for judge, for rich repiner and household drudge. God pity them both, and pity us all, who vainly the dreams of youth recall. For all of our sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these, it might have been. Ah well, for us, all some sweet hope lies, deeply buried from human eyes, and in the hereafter angels may roll the stone from its grave away. John Greenleaf Whittier, a Quaker devoted to social causes and reform. John Greenleaf Whittier was a popular New England poet. After the Civil War, his poetry emphasized religion, nature, and New England life. The above quoted passage is the final stanza in a 15 stanza poem titled Maud Mueller, written by John Greenleaf Whittier, a prolific and sensitive 19th century American poet. I urge you to read and reread the entire poem, which tells a story that has a profound message for everyone who has the courage to accept this sage's advice. The poem with Maud Mueller. The poem opens with Maud Mueller, a beautiful young maiden, raking hay in a meadow, looking up and seeing a handsome judge on a horse, riding toward her. Her heart beats intensely as she speaks to the judge, while giving him a drink of water from her tin cup. Her mind races at the thought of what it would be like to be with the kind, sensitive man who spoke to her of the grass and the flowers and trees, of the singing birds and the humming bees. She forgot the tattered clothes she wore and her unkempt appearance, and allowed herself to fantasize about her dreams, a wish that she hardly dared to own, for something better than she had known. As the judge rode away, her heartfelt thought was, ah, me, that I, the judge's bride, might be. But it was not to be. Instead, she married a man who brought her sorrow and pain. As Whittier writes, a manly form at her side she saw, and joy was duty and love was law. Then she took up the burden of her life again, saying only, it might have been. The poet describes the young, handsome judge who rode off that day with a deep longing in his heart, but one that he was unwilling to fulfill. Afraid to jeopardize his position in life, he was unable to act on his feelings for the young maiden and her way of life. Would she were mine, and I today, like her, a harvester of hay. No doubtful balance of rights and wrongs, nor weary lawyers with endless tongue. And so he left his heartfelt longings and pursued a life that had been arranged for him by the decisions of others. But he thought of his sisters, proud and cold, and his mother, vain of her rank and gold. So closing his heart, the judge rode on, and Maud was left in the field alone. Whittier then tells of how the judge married someone of his own rank and position, and how he daydreamed of his soul connection back in the field. Oft when the wine in his glass was red, he longed for the wayside, well, instead. And the proud man sighed with a secret pain. Ah, that I were free again. Free as when I rode that day where the barefoot maiden raked her hay. As the story of Maud and the judge comes to its poetic conclusion, the final verse builds to an emotionally charged conclusion. The two lines that Whittier is most remembered for are words that I kept in large letters on my bulletin board for my students to read when I was a school counselor many years ago. They are words that today I remind my children to internalize when they fear making a mistake or when they avoid taking a risk by remaining silent. These are words to live by, written by a brilliant poet more than a century ago. For of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these: it might have been. Indeed, it might have been is the lament of the unfulfilled dreamers who ponder the past with regret over what they failed to say or do because they feared the consequences. In my own life, I have made many mistakes, but I can honestly say that I have no regrets today regarding anything I've done. Absolutely none. Yes, there are things I said that I wouldn't say today. Yes, there were people I hurt along the way, and today I have learned from those behaviors. Yes, I've made some bad investments, written some horrible words, consumed some toxic substances, lost some competitive contests, and even been lost in my own self importance far too frequently in my past. But, as I said, I have no regrets about anything I've done. I've worked at not repeating those blunders, and I know I cannot undo the past. Yet I am not free of regrets. My own regrets are in what I didn't do. At a 20-year high school reunion, I met a woman whom I absolutely adored when I was a 17-year-old boy. I finally had the courage to tell her how I felt 2 decades later. She responded, "I always liked you and would have given anything if you would have called and asked for a date." I was floored by my regret. At 17, I trembled with fear at thoughts of being rejected or appearing foolish. I imagined she was way too cool and gorgeous to go out with me, and consequently, I allowed the opportunity to pass. If you feel something in your heart and know it resonates with you as something you should try, yet you hold back out of fear, you set yourself up for regret. Make no mistake about it, regret is an appalling waste of energy. You cannot build on it, you cannot grow from it. All you can do is wallow in frustration. Whatever you feel deeply about but fail to act on will cause you regret. The words you didn't say for fear of being ridiculed, the action you failed to take for fear of failing, the trip you didn't take for fear of being alone, are the stairs that lead, one step at a time, to the attic of despair in your later years. As Whittier puts it so succinctly, God pity them both and pity us all, who vainly the dreams of youth recall. You undoubtedly will encounter some disapproval. Some results you produce will not always be to your liking. You will experience ridicule, but you will not know regret if you speak up or take action. What you will know, no matter what, is a sense of your own spiritual destiny. As Joshua put it, no man having put his hand to the plan and looking back is fit for the kingdom of heaven. To practice this no regrets advice from Whittier's classic poem of Maud Mueller and the Judge, consider the following. Hannah, visualize yourself as an older person looking back on yourself today. How do you want to feel then? Full of regret or satisfied that you did whatever your heart advised? Dull. Instead of asking yourself what everyone else's opinion is going to be and how your action will be perceived by others, ask yourself, how do I want my life to be lived? Then proceed to take a small risk in the direction of that new action. Set. Contemplate how you are going to feel in advance. First, imagine taking the potentially regret producing path of inaction. Then, imagine what the very best outcome would be were you to take the risk. By picturing both scenarios in advance, you can avoid the regret of what might have been. I'm pretty sure we all have regrets in life. I myself, one of the big ones I've had is not speaking at my father's funeral. Yes, I was only 13, but I feel like there were some things that I could have said to ease the family. There have been times where I wish I would have spoke up for myself when younger. I was always apt to speak up for other people, but a lot of the times myself, I just brushed it off. Regret can cause heaviness in your future because you will always wonder, as said, what if? What if I would have just said this? What if I would have just said that? And it, especially if we go to relationships, when we was in high school, whatever the case may be, yo, I wonder how many of y'all watching this right now told your crush years later that you had an affinity towards them, and they said, I liked you too. Or especially for us brothers, because we're always the ones that are looked towards to do the asking. We hear, all you had to do is ask. Now, some of us probably dodged bullets with some of the people that we wanted to ask, and that is less than a regret. But I digress. Don't doubt the things that you want. Your ancestors, your higher self, your spiritual agency want to give you everything you desire. In the past couple of years, I have examined how I've asked for things, even things that I was not ready for or that I did not even need, and it was given to me. In one sense, to show me to trust that whatever I want, I have the potential and ability to get, and my spiritual agency is going to bless my game. 2, in a lot of cases, it's to see if I was prepared. 3, it could have been a testing for somebody else because they might have wanted the same thing, and it was to show them that they might have not been ready. But in any case that stands, you have the ability at any moment in time to live your life with no regrets. I like people with them tattoos, no regrets, with no regrets. But you just have to stop being afraid of the unknown. And I feel that's where regret lies. Regret lies in the seed of fear. The seed of fear of rejection, of failure, of feeling not good enough. The seed of fear can affect so many areas in our lives that once you get out of that space, once you get out of your own way, really, and begin to ask or speak or move towards the things that you want, you would be amazed how aligned everything would have been if you would have just took a chance. So, from this day forward, if you have something to say, speak it. If you have something you want to do, start taking the steps right now to do so. If you have a crush on somebody and you've been wondering if you should say something to them, go ahead. Now make sure it's in good taste. You know what I'm saying? Don't just jump out there all willy-nilly, and don't, if she got a partner or he has a partner, don't throw yourself under the bus and embarrass yourself. Because if you do tell that person that and their situation is, not something or understand, and you end up tearing up a happy home, that's a different level of karma you have to deal with. But back on track. Don't be afraid to ask for and move towards the things that you want in life. Your divine agency has prepared all areas for you to receive exactly what you want. I thank you for being here. Less for me than for yourself. I ask that you stop operating in fear of whatever it is. Dig deep to see the things that you fear and allow yourself to begin to remove them so that you can have and receive all of the beautiful things that life has structured for you to be the greatest you possible. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.